The long-awaited Secret Invasion has finally landed, and I'm here to share my thoughts on the premiere episode that just happened a few days ago. As a fan of the Secret Invasion storyline, I honestly just couldn't wait to see how the story was going to come to life. So let me tell you, I didn't love it. I did not love this episode. Let's go and get into it and go and subscribe, like the video. That means the world to me. You guys already know what's going on, so let's just jump in. Now from the jump, the show kicks off with a decently good pace and quickly immerses us in like an action scene, which I really liked. The chase scene we get early on is fine, and we get this really cool scene of the lights turning on as they run up the building. That was just a nice visual. And the early introduction of the Skrulls infiltrating Earth sets the stage for some really good intense conflict. Obviously, if you read the story, you kind of know. It is also just exciting to see the show jump straight into the Skrulls rather than spending the first episode like recapping what a Skrull is or stuff from Captain Marvel or all this just dumb meandering stuff that I honestly expected. It knows what we want as viewers, and it kind of gives us that, at least in this beginning part. It is obviously depending on you seeing Captain Marvel or other MCU projects. So if you haven't seen that, you might be a little bit confused. And also the who are you really theme and storyline adds a really good twist to the story, making it really hard to determine not only who's a human and a Skrull, but it also does something that I was kind of surprised it would do so early on, at least in the first episode. But it really presents the Skrulls in a sympathetic light, showing them, children playing, revealing that they just have a desire to be in a home, to find a home planet, that sort of thing. However, as the story progresses, obviously we discover in this episode, and I'm assuming we're going to discover more, that their motives are not so simple, that they abduct people, take over their lives. It's really weird.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
And this obviously adds kind of a poetic layer to the narrative as the Skrulls mirror humans and their desires, seeking a sense of belonging, while others are bent on pure domination and they're willing to hurt as many people as necessary to achieve that goal. This complex portrayal of the Skrulls adds really intense depth to the story, and I think that's going to really keep me engaged, and I think a lot of the viewership engaged as well, especially people that haven't read the comics at all. And so that kind of takes the story from a who is a human and who is a Skrull to more of a who is a good person and who isn't, because just like how there are good people and bad people, the Skrulls have good people and bad people too. So I like that concept of kind of really dividing it more than just good and bad. There's a lot more nuance there, so that's fun. Also, the uncertainty of not knowing who's a human and who's a Skrull, of course is going to add a layer of engaging intrigue really to the story. It's keeping us on our toes. It's keeping us wondering if even our main characters are imposters or liars or anything like that. So that adds an interesting, almost unreliable narrator vibe to the story that is just actually really cool to see from Marvel. I also appreciate the character evolution of Nick Fury in this show. Previously, he's always been kind of portrayed as the cool, collected badass in Marvel movies, but in Secret Invasion and kind of like the last few times he's appeared, it seems like he's almost lost his edge post Thanos snap. It's not so much about him aging, but more about how he's changed and isn't the same sharp, threatening presence he once was. We're also left to wonder, can Nick Fury return to his former glory as the mastermind who, created the Avengers Initiative, that sort of thing. I just like how the show is planting seeds also that kind of suggests that even he could potentially be a Skrull imposter too. It's obviously hard to tell within the first episode, but I love the depth that they're giving him specifically, and I think it adds to the storyline and kind of makes me excited to see how his specific character is going to unfold. And that's pretty much all I liked, which is sad because most of what I liked is the potential for where the story is to go. I like what we could potentially have with the Skrulls and how they diversify good and bad and that whole thing. I like the potential for where they explore with Nick Fury, and other than that, the episode itself was just fine for me. It wasn't great, it was fine. See, while Emilia Clarke is a fantastic actress, her character's storyline involving Talos and her mother falls kind of short for me on this episode. I honestly just didn't care, and every time they bring it up, I'm just on my phone. It just was not a compelling thing for me at all. I could care less, honestly, but I am open to seeing how her character develops as the show progresses, so hopefully my feelings change. I am a bit disappointed that I don't think they're going to be able to do a lot of the cool comic book stuff from the Secret Invasion storyline, because certain characters are either not in the MCU yet or have been kind of killed off already, so that kind of sucks. I also think the initial chase scene that the show kind of starts off with, while it was fun, after that it quickly turns into the exact thing that I was worried it was gonna be. It just kind of starts to meander around. Nick Fury goes off with this lady and nothing really happens yet with that. Obviously, I'm assuming it's a big setup for later, but it just didn't click for me in this episode, and I don't know, I'm sure she has some significance I completely forgot about. Maybe she's a Thunderbolts person or something, I don't know, but I don't know, it's just it's really hard for me to start connecting with some of these plot points that aren't in direct conflict with the storyline, you know? And I think the major draw for the story isn't that it's, you know, some universe ending plot like how a lot of the recent MCU stuff has been, which is exciting. However, the MCU has mainly been spending time adding characters that are either like cosmic or magic based or something like that. And so a lot of new MCU characters won't really fit this story. So I'm kind of curious as to what characters they realistically can bring into the show, because right now Nick Fury's fine, but I don't think he's can carry the show, if I'm honest. I just don't think so. I think we're going to need more of a roster than that. And that's kind of also important because we get the big death of Maria Hill, a long-standing MCU character who, you know, I guess that adds weight to the story and demonstrates, you know, that there is high stakes involved. However, I don't personally give a shit about her, I guess. In real world, I guess in the story, it's probably a huge moment. Like, oh my God, this, you know, really, really high up officer or person died. Like, that's crazy. But I'm just kind of the whole time just blah. Like, I could care less, honestly, about Maria Hill. I will say I did like the intense ending. I did think them doing a big terrorist bombing scene was particularly shocking, and kind of it deviates a lot from the standard gun battle and hand-to-hand stuff that we see in Marvel. So that was really cool. The multiple Nick Furies at the end does also add kind of a suspense, leaving us to question which one is the real one. Are any of these even the real one? And who is an imposter at the end of the day, I think is a huge question. So I hope that gets further developed and kind of teased more. I think that's kind of the funnest part about this storyline. Overall, I think this episode did a decent job at setting up the Secret Invasion storyline. I do have some nitpicks. Like I said, Emilia Clarke, I think her character I was just kind of let down on. She was not my favorite, and I do think the show very much heavily depends on you watching the previous Marvel installments, you know, movies, TV shows, that sort of thing, because I'm just assuming you can't. There's just no way I think you could enjoy this without knowing already where the universe is at and kind of the previous stuff that's happened. So I think that kind of sucks for people that are trying to just get into Marvel right now. But, you know, that's kind of the blessing and the curse of having a cinematic universe, is you have to watch all that other stuff to kind of appreciate what's going on here. But then again, I think if you are a new MCU fan or wanting to get into the MCU, I definitely wouldn't even recommend to start something this far. I would totally recommend to start something way earlier in the MCU's life. But honestly, I think the show is fine so far. I heard a lot of people get mad about the AI opening, and a lot of people don't like that, which I get. It definitely seems kind of cheap for a billion-dollar industry and company to source out to a computer versus actually just hiring someone. So that's a little tone deaf, I guess. But overall, I really am excited for where this show's going to go. Am I excited about this episode in particular? No, not at all. But I'm excited for, I guess, where this episode's going to go. And then we haven't really had Marvel, Disney Plus dropping in a decent amount of time. So I'm excited for that. Just to kind of get a weekly release of Marvel stuff is going to be fun. But overall, not too excited about this episode, but again, excited about where the show's going to go moving forward. So yeah, and I appreciate you guys watching to the end. It means the world to me. Again, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And thanks for watching. You can click this video here to watch something I made, and you can click this video here to watch something else I made. So thanks. Have a good one.